Good morning, friends, and welcome to another edition of Unlock Brand with Bradford. This is an edition which we do every Thursday morning, and we talk about licensing in general and then take up a particular subject in licensing. Today, I have a privilege to have two very special guests with me. Ms. Richa Shah, she's the managing editor of Champak magazine, and also our friend Samir Jain, who runs Green Gold Entertainment, and also a very popular character called Chhota Bheem, which has been uh, truly India's gift to the whole character industry and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do in next half an hour, we will take up their mind in terms of what is happening in the industry, how this industry is evolved, and what we see our future, what we really lack, because character licensing in the global market has contributes about 12 odd percent, and if you include this with entertainment also, it becomes even larger. And while in India we have on many fronts, we have a lot of international characters now using Indian marketplace to really unlock through licensing, but we also are producing a lot of our own content. So let's begin with a little bit of a circle, and I will start with Samirji, with you first, to give a little ecosystem. When you really thought about bringing that, what was the scenario then, and what is now, and how do you see the industry really moved in and changed and evolved, or so to say? And I know your contribution, your company's contribution in terms of creating this whole thought process, and we are very fortunate at both Bradford and Franchise India to be seen the entire journey of Chhota Bheem being a entire thing. So over to you, start, and then we'll pick up Richa's mind in terms of what should be the whole life journey.
Thank you so much, Gaurav, for having me over for this chat. Very briefly, the whole idea, it wasn't licensing per se, with what the thought started. It was an Indian character, and probably why can't India have its own IP, wherein we were so rich in so many stories, like our Panchatantras, of course, Champak being one of them, and so on and so forth. And that's where the thought seeded that most of the animation studios were into outsourcing work for foreign projects. And then Rajiv and me, we said, let's do something Indian. And that's where Chhota Bheem happened. We got on air in 2008. And let me tell the audience that it was looked down upon big time by the channel. It got rejected couple of times by the various broadcasters that ye show nahi chalega and stuff like that. And I think in almost a mode of desperation was it aired, with lot of pessimism that yeah, this is not going to work, but chalo, let's try. And then 2008, once we got on air, and in 3 months of time, that was the time when Harry Potter and Pokemon was very much the toppers on the television and the kid viewership. But Chhota Bheem garnered huge viewership, and that's where the signal came in. And by 2009, Pogo, on which it was telecast, which was practically not even in the ratings as a channel, became the #1 channel. Chhota Bheem became the #1 show. And that's where we thought of getting into the other verticals now. Animation typically would not be able to sustain itself. And that's an international norm with the industry. So if you see a revenue pie of an IP, of an animated IP, typically there is a substantial contribution. It needs to come in from the licensing and merchandising field as well. And that's where Chhota Bheem, we thought of taking it into the licensing and merchandising mode somewhere in 2010. And that's where the journey began.
And how this looks like changing now. I know when this all happened, this happened because I think your conviction to the space, and also I think a lot of hard work you and your team did. But you see that now it's much easier for really truly Indian content to come in the market and acceptability by the audience, or you still struggle to really find that space. I mean, with especially the broadcasters and channels.
Chota Bheem, both in terms of the content on television, the concept of Indian IP, and a property which can be successfully licensed and leveraged to various other modes of entertainment and connect with the audience. So Chota Bheem has been able to establish all these verticals, and as a follow through, we see a lot of other Indian IPs coming up, and we work very closely with many of the other studios as well. We help them in making shows, we help them in on their licensing model, and because there is a huge ecosystem, there's a huge vacuum, which even now it exists. There is a place for innumerable amount of IPs which can come in terms of content, in terms of licensing. So that thought process was kicked off by the success of Chota Bheem, and it's just going on, and sky's the limit.
Sure. Now over to you, Richa ji. What do you see and I would take particularly your question for you to starting point, how difficult it is to really bring back something which has, while it has a lot of memories and nostalgia and things of that, but unlocking that in the current times becomes even more challenging because the mediums are different and the space is very different. And how do you make it now in a new medium relevant at this stage, which is the task you're doing at Champak, I think. That's not an easy call to have, and a lot of people have tried it and it's not been that easy. So what is your early thought, and how do you see the whole space shifting up?
It's so nice, Gaurav, to have me here, and it's nice to hear your thoughts, Sameerji. It's Chota Bheem has done really well, no doubt about that. For us, we started Champak in the year 1969. And Champak actually started with the idea that there are stories where children want to see themselves, so children relate most when they see themselves and what would they have done in that scenario. And Champak is an anthology. When I say anthology, it means it has a collection of stories. It's not a story about one character only, but it was imagined as a forest where all these animals live together. They have a problem, and there is a very much a problem-solving committee rather than one person. So there is, the Sher Singh, who's the lion of the jungle. There is Chiku, who's the who's the rabbit. And the idea being that the strong and the weak have to coexist together to solve problems. We have we grew up on things like Spider-Man and Superman, and even Spider-Man and Superman have evolved into saying that we need a Marvel. We need to come together to actually solve problems, and this pandemic is showing that no country or no individual can solve all problems. So the whole idea was that how do we as a community solve problems, and how do children see themselves as part of problem solving? What are their problems? How do they have a bully at school, they've not done well, teachers are telling that you've not done good marks, you're not good in arts, you're not good, so emotional problems is what Champak focuses on. That's been always our, we keep telling all our readers that we are not interested in teaching IQ to your children. IQ is being taught by school. There are too many classes which children are going to, but nobody is realizing that children have emotions like we do, and nobody is talking to children's emotions. And our idea is that when the child is coming back from the school bus, he picks it up, or she picks up the magazine, and she is reading a story, and she can imagine something which has happened, at school and relate, and it gives her an idea how could she have reacted, how could she have responded to that situation, or how could he have responded to that situation. If it was a parent, how could he have responded? If it was a teacher, how would he have responded? Now, it remained a print brand primarily. It remains a print brand primarily. We do about close to 2.5-3 lakh copies per month of the magazine, and we do it in 8 languages. And we started feeling what I think Green Gold, like we should have felt it 10 years ago, that we should be on television, because now children are also being exposed on the audiovisual medium. And it's a big medium. Now with the internet, every child has a screen on their hand, or not every child, but a lot of audience has a screen in their hand. And last year, March, we decided that how do we go about this journey? As Sameerji said, it's quite difficult. Channels have their own, their own targets to be met. And we have a certain vision of Champak. What should Champak be like? Should it be set in a village? Should it be set in a city? Should it be, scientific? When should it take care of gender diversity? How does it take care of, what is the community of Champak going to be like? And how does it relate to today's child? It has the heritage of yesterday, but how do we make it relate to today's child? So let's say a child sitting in Lajpat Nagar, or child sitting in Kanpur, or child sitting in Bleach Candy in Mumbai. How does that child relate? Okay, I relate to Champak. Now Champak, Chiku may not be as powerful today as what we think, but I know parents, when we talk to them, they say we read Champak and we are very sure that we can give this magazine to our child. It will not teach them violence. It will not teach them, it will have good values without it being imposing the values. See, when you read Aesop fables or Panchatantra, they are beautiful stories, no doubt, but they are very moralistic. And children, we've realized, don't like too many morals. They like to say, okay, let us pick and choose what we would like to do from this story. So we are at that crossroads at the moment to decide what kind of animation do we want to, bring to the screen. What should our character, what should the next couple of years look forward in this animation journey? And hopefully next year we should be, ready with some kind of animation which is talking to today's children in India and even across the world. Chiku needs to look contemporary, because India can be a backdrop, but Indian children are contemporary today. And what are the other things that are children looking for, and how do we unlock this when people say in America or in UK, oh, I read Champak, I resonate with this character, I like what this is being done. And it has a story which is going towards emotions and collectivism. There is, in each individual, how does he or she contribute to the story arc?
Very well. I think very rightly said. And I think that's where the task is. But if you are able to put this whole new medium and relative content out, then I think there would be much bigger takers. And I think that's what surprised me also, because I felt that it would be very difficult for, so to say, very old vintage content of, while we all know it, we have done it, but children are very differently influenced now because of availability of a lot of content available on their screens and things like that. So they would get into something they more get influenced. But it's equally, I think I'm saying that, if the content is rightly presented, I think we will be able to get the audience. So another thing, going on to a little bit on the licensing side, and Sameerji, this question is for you particularly because you've done it. That there is a 3 stages, I call it, for licensing. One is how do you really create the content and make it all the time relevant? Because making it relevant is very important, because it otherwise starts fatigue, catching fatigue, and also aging and so on and so forth. And how sharp your TG is, because sometimes you're trying to address everybody and then you become confused, and how you really become very, very focused to your target group by age and also by the social structure and social stage and so on and so forth. That's one on the content. And then the bigger difficulty in licensing is how do you do go to market? What product you should start with, what should be the first programs you run, and how to make the programs successful. And third, which is even more difficult, especially in your space, is the distribution, because distribution itself is very fragmented. So what have you done right in terms of achieving this? Because you have a lot of licensing programs running in the market, and relatively you have achieved distribution also, because I feel that these 3 areas are constantly challenging for any licensing, character licensing program which comes in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. So first question was on the content. That's the soul of the whole story, content. And the story and the storytelling is again a very, very part. if I'm very clear on what is my story going to be, what is my communication going to be to the audience, to the children, to the parents, and that drives my writers to churn out various episodes. Keeping that basic principle in mind is what is a very key factor. As you, Gaurav, as you said, target audience again has to be very, very crisp. And once uh, I- one has a sense of the message I want to give out, the key message, my target audience, and the relative attributes of my key characters, which would personify these points. So once I have this basic framework, which I would call it as a foundation of my show, and then basis this foundation, one can churn out stories, basis our Indian culture, basis various themes. You can take up sports as a theme, you can take up world as a theme, you can take up some very current stories or upcoming stories, like when we had this World Cup coming up, we knew next year would be a World Cup, so we did an entire episodes on cricket, which really did well. Uh, when there was a football World Cup last time in Brazil, so we kind of mapped it a couple of years back, and we churned out a theatrical Mighty Raju in Rio calling, and it was a huge success because that when the movie released and it synced in with the World Cup, World Football Cup, and there was a euphoria of football, and people kind of, so content and its storytelling is a very, very important part. Coming to the second bit of licensing, licensing in India, when we thought of getting into the licensing piece, with of course Chhota Bheem, we had Krishna as well. The players at that point of time were predominantly Disney, Turner, and the likes. And we kind of studied their business model or working. There was a lot of emphasis on products which would be shipped out of a factory in China. So that factory in China would produce products for the world, and then it would be shipped out to India and the other countries as well. We kind of tweaked our thought process totally. We said, let us work with the Indian manufacturers, let us identify the categories, which are the key categories. And amongst those key categories, who are the key Indian players in that genre? And when we visited them, that, okay, here is my show, I have a style guide in place. Why don't you take my license and make apparels? Children buy it. The first question came up was that you want me to invest in a product with your property and at the same time pay you for it. So the mindset was, if you want me to make a product of your character, then you pay me and not take money from me. Don't charge me money for that. So that was the mindset we faced. So what we did was we took a step back. We said, fair enough. To change this whole ecosystem, it is going to take some time. So we ourselves got into the business. So we started first making t-shirts ourselves. We started publishing ourselves. We started doing home videos ourselves. And how did we sell this? We started participating in various exhibitions. I think few of the shows of Gaurav have been very, very instrumental in our success story. Franchise India shows and all those shows, we've been there right from day one since we started. And a couple of these trade exhibitions, we started participating, and there we started creating a certain amount of traction for our product. The next step was we were still not very successful. So we thought, let's start with the, by the time we had expanded our product categories, we had close to, I would say, 700 SKUs in apparel, in publishing, in few toys, few home back to school product lunch boxes, which we got them made in India. We invested in these products. And we came out with the concept of a green gold store. And what was a green gold store was basically, it was a Chhota Bheem store where a kid could walk in and he could have whatever products were there to buy for Chhota Bheem. These green gold stores became a rage. A very small store of 100 square feet in somewhere in the city like Bhopal or elsewhere would do a sales of 4 or 5 lakhs of rupees a month. That turned everything. That's where the Indian manufacturers started getting attracted. That's where they got the confidence. And then again we revisited them that, look, hey, this is my product. This is what you make. It is a similar product, but you are the master of it. I am not. But I've been able to make this product and sell it. You can do 10 times better than me. And that's where the acceptance started. And we kind of made our terms of business such that it is a win-win situation. And we started working very closely with our licensees to see that to the last mile that they make money out of our IP. In what he's producing, what is the designing, what is the product, what is the pricing happening. And meanwhile, parallelly our distribution was spreading. We were dealing directly with the hypermarkets, with the likes of families and stuff like that, where we were supplying directly. Many of these licensees did not have access to these stores, or for then the e-commerce guys started coming in. So we kind of created a platform, a gateway for a licensee where you take my license, I give you the design support, I give you the market intelligence of the product. Also, if you need, I can give you access to various sellers across modern trade, across mom and pop shops and all that. And that kind of helped. And then we kept on adding, and I'm happy to say that in the latest report by Lima, again for last 8 years, Chhota Bheem has been the #1 licensed property in India across various categories. And we continue to do the same.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing which you've done unique and which should go to absolute credit to your organization and you yourself is that you build the distribution yourself, because waiting for distribution to evolve would have not happened. I mean, this kind of success you've got is only because you actually help your licensee. Because I have seen a lot of frustration in potential licensees when they take the license in the idea of, they lack distribution, and there is no platform, organized way of distribution. There's no, so to say, toy stores, they're not back to school stores available in the market. So how do you distribute? So that becomes a problem. Because you created your own distribution, the licenses were able to ride on that. So before I pass it on to Vatsal for a few questions, I will have one question for Richa ji for you. So licensing is a combination of what I call, strong emotional content, because the character has to bind with you emotionally. And also there is now, especially with younger kids, there's a lot of aspiration, especially when it comes on the fashion and comes on what they wear, what they carry to the school, what they really do that. So licensing is a very clear, balance between how do you really bring emotion and how do you bring aspiration. Because aspiration is that the kids want to be seen in the same level of quality, aspiration of the brand, and they want to really show others, their peers, in their own level, that what they are wearing, what they're carrying, and so on and so forth. And somewhere it is looked that the Western brands or Western characters sometimes take an edge on that. And so how do you really marry these two things? How do you, while emotion, I think we have a much bigger quotient. When we bring in our real original Indian content, and which has been in especially generational content, it has much more emotional part of it. But then it lacks on the aspiration. How do you really marry that, and how do you really see an answer of this coming in, because then only the licensing program really becomes successful.
Right, Gaurav, that's a very interesting question. And, I would have agreed with you there is no doubt that the international license market is much more bigger than the Indian license market, because look at the money that they're spending, look at that they're there everywhere. So they are definitely much bigger than what we are. But when we've been talking to our own audiences over the past couple of years, we've seen that parents want to give children Indian stuff. It's how you market it. It's how you package. That thing, which says that this has an emotional Indian content, but it is also aspirational. I look at this design called the Paisley design. Have you looked at the Paisley?
Yeah,
So that's the Ambi in Hindi, and you call it the Paisley in English. And even if you go to Western brands, you will pick up a Paisley, because there is something that connects you with that design. So it's how you package that thing which is coming from India. Let's say it has an Indian heritage, but it is aspirational because India itself is aspirational. Like I know that when we write stories today, we are not writing stories about a child who was living 2,000 years ago. Some of our stories are actually children inventing gadgets to take care of what can happen in the future. They are problem solvers. They are within the ecosystem of the Indian community. They are almost like their own Spider-Mans and Supermans and Wonder Women, those kind of characters. They are there because what we are giving them, Gaurav, in my understanding, is a context. So when I look at, I have 2 children. I have actually 3 children, and my twins are 10 years old. And when I see them, it's always they're solving problem within the context of this of where they live, and that I think is a resonance that comes from an Indian character. So when you say that this is an Indian character which is aspirational, so you say, okay, fine, you are attached to let's say, Indian sports people, which have then become very big license in their own way. The reason is because they're playing for your country, they're attached to you, they're reachable to you, their context is to you. So I think the aspiration context can be easily matched with the emotional content. It's the packaging, it's how you are communicating, what is this child doing? Like we run a column called PsyQ in Champak. And we give these small science experiments for children to do. And we get these letters, from young girls and young children, I will not say girls, young children. They say, we are the scientists of our school because we were able to solve this. We looked at this PsyQ in Champak, and these are very small experiments that you can do in your home. We always say that as a parent, I don't want another parent to run to the shop and buy 20 items. So say that, I want to see what is there in my house and what is the thing that the child is seeing. Now, let's say if it's a refraction problem, or if it's how does a reflection take place, or how is electricity generated? You can do it with 2 lines. We did a small thing with how does adipose tissue make you feel warm? Now, it's a very simple thing. You put butter on your hand, and you put like a plastic glove, and you put it in cold water, and the other hand you put it just like in cold water. The hand without the butter and the glove will feel warmer for a longer time than the hand without the butter and the glove. That's explaining what do the layers of fat do. Now, children will write to us and say, I am the scientist in my school. So that itself is an aspirational context which you are giving children. Children want to say aspirational in terms of I'm smart, I'm the cool person, maybe I'm also the nerd. That's also an aspirational aspect. So in our context, when we say that, so we had Kalpana Chawla, who used to read the Indian astronaut, and when she was going to space, she wrote to us and said, I grew up reading Champak, and I want to take something, so they could take some things from whatever they valued when they were growing up. So she said, will you give us a t-shirt of Champak? Space on it. So we actually sent her a t-shirt which had the space, NASA space logo. She took it with her to space.
Wow.
It came back, when she couldn't come back, when the space shuttle didn't come back, her husband, after a couple of years, came and gave that T-shirt back to us, and that T-shirt is there in our office, saying that this T-shirt has been to space, and so in that respect, there is that aspiration. Kalpana Chawla, a young girl from Haryana, reading the magazine, maybe seeing something like Chota Bheem and saying, I want to do this. So that aspiration is there. So the brands, our Indian brands, will be able to give that aspiration. It will take time, I'm sure, but the market, I feel today, when we are going, and as Sameer is saying, the market is ready. You can see that the Indian parent wants not only international things for their children. They say, I want international, I want aspirational, but I want Indian aspirational also.
Absolutely, and this would also depend on how you really marry the quality. Quality has to be done on the kind of merchandise you produce, and also a lot of these micro influencers, they also have to start recognizing that how to really represent India well. So if they start doing it, because now these days these influencers play a very important role in everything we do and everything we consume. So and I
And I
see
think aspirational is also universal, Gaurav. Aspirational is universal. Like when you see something which you like, it comes to you. That's why you have Indian movies doing well in China sometimes, because the aspiration is the same. We are all humans having the same aspirations, being good, doing something for the society, helping our neighbor, succeeding, or solving problems, standing up for the weak. I think between all of us, we want this from Indian children, that our next generation is able to take India to another level. We are able to say that India is ready for the next decade or the next couple of decades. So, when we look at aspiration, it's a Greta Thunberg coming from India. It's how do you tell an Indian child, I want to stand up for climate change in India? It's so difficult, at every time somebody will tell us, and we hear it from Indian children saying, no, it's not our problem, the West has created this mess. But what can we do to solve it in our own small way? I think those additions go a big way in solving problems.
absolutely, very well said. And over to you, Vatsal, for your question.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sameerji. Thank you so much, Ms. Rita, for the insights that you have shared right away. I would like to ask Sameerji, because you have been the flag bearer of one of the most biggest case studies when it comes to character licensing. So, just to have an understanding, how do you think this entire character licensing industry has changed the face of, I would say, right from the corporates to consumer PS, launching them, and how they have actually benefited with this character licensing thing?
Interesting question, Vatsal. Character licensing would not only restricted to merchandise, but also to a lot of other areas as well. Let me answer you by giving some examples. Chota Bheem is the brand ambassador for Chhattisgarh government for the Swachh Bharat mission when it was launched. And Chota Bheem was called as Captain Cool as part of their brand endorsements. And there was a whole rollout of comic books, of posters, of videos, which we produced for the government, and they spread it across to various schools amongst the children. So the Swachh Bharat campaign was not necessarily restricted to adults. It was thought of that Swachhta should be imbibed in the children as well, and that's where Chota Bheem came in with the government of Chhattisgarh, and that campaign received the Prime Minister's award from Narendra Modi ji to Chhattisgarh government. So that was one example of how a brand can associate besides merchandise. In terms of corporates, I would say, again, this is a corporate and a product mix. One very interesting example I would quote here is of Parle G. Now, Parle G as a biscuit has been the brand leader, and they're the number one in their category, especially the 5 rupee wala packet. And we kind of thought, and we said, why can't we increase volumes for Parle G? And they laughed on us. They said, are you crazy or what? It is, you want to show light to the sun. So, listen, there is something new what we are talking of. And we set up a meeting with Parle team, and we said, आपका जो बिस्किट होता है उसमें बीच में if you make a new mold and put a face of Chhota Bheem and a face of Chutki and the other 4 characters, do you think this would work? And they kind of accepted it, and in a very silent way the product was introduced. Their sales went up by more than 30%, and they themselves they were shocked. So when on the biscuit packet there was a Chhota Bheem image, and on the biscuit itself there was a Chhota Bheem, children bought more and more of those biscuits. So there are there can be so many possibilities to such tags and associations, as much as one can think of.
Absolutely, and I think that's FMCG particularly can have a huge impact because I think sometimes the decision making changes, and there is a huge influence the kids would do to their parents in terms of when they're making a decision of what purchases you need to do. And this, I think, are a lot of FMCG companies have to understand that how big impact it can create. And globally, this is one of the largest categories. Actually, we talk about a lot of these merchandising, back to school products and things like that, but they don't understand the real volumes really come from FMCG. If you put in a Parle G or a juice drink or something which is right to the TG. And another thing which is very important that you have to be very sensitive that it's all about kids and it's all about good health, it's about good living, and a lot of other things have to see the same values which say Chhota Bheem would stand for. And you need to really give them. That's my another question is that how do you really integrate that value system? And because when you do things with government, their application is very different. They're using this as a symbol of information translation, and sometimes they lose the focus of again taking away from the larger piece of the entire thing. So it can be sometimes counterproductive, where you can really lose your loyalty with the channel, your loyalty with the target group you are really working on, and that target group doesn't now start seeing you because when they see the posters being on the wrong side and the being put into public utilities and things of that nature. So sometimes you have a risk of that. So how do you balance that risk?
That risk is always there. The way to manage it is, Gaurav, every creative is approved by Green Gold. So the communication which is going out is as per our norms and SOPs. There is a team in place which brand assurance team which takes care of this piece, whether it is a merchandise product, whether it is a communication, whether it is a something like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan I was talking about. We ensure that the application of the media is also defined, and it all forms a part of a contract. So that would in a way ensure that there is a proper implementation. Having said that, there is always a chance of a slip here and there, and that's where if it would fall into crisis management. But so far so good, nothing adverse has happened. So.
Yeah, what's your question to Richa ji?
Yeah, definitely. I have something for Ms. Richa also. So, Ms. Richa, while working out Champak's licensing, okay, so there are a couple of things which we would like to understand. What was the vision behind that? What made you think that it's the right time for Champak to get into licensing? And how do you think the Indian characters has again changed the face of licensing industry in the Indian market?
So I'll take a cue from what Sameerji just said, that children relate to characters. Uh, Personally, you see that children relate to characters. It's much easier for a child to buy a product that says, there is Chiku on it, or it comes from Champak, or it comes from Chota Bheem, or there is a certain affinity that the child feels towards a product when it is, it's a product that you have grown up with. And also, I think as adults also, we feel the same affinity. We continue feeling those emotions with that product. So I think that is one of the things that we started realizing, that, we have that connect with our audiences over the past 6 years. And we would like that, though we are at the print at the moment, how do we go ahead and, become a part of a greater ecosystem of the child and the family? And that's how we started the licensing journey, where we, as Ameerji said, we did small experiments. We participated in school fairs where we actually started having pencil boxes, lunch boxes, small name tags that were had Champak characters and Champak on them, and they did very well. So, we realized that there was a natural affinity that children had in picking up something that they could relate to. We are also doing a small anthology of books now. We're taking about close to about 72 stories from Champak into 3 anthologies, and we're co-publishing it with Rupa, where children can actually read those stories if they're not subscribing to the magazines. So that itself, we saw that these small tractions started, making us realize that we can, there is this huge market which is waiting for us in terms of, how children relate to a product. So let's say, imagine you have so many pencils which are there as, in a stationery shop. How do you say, and all pencils are, it's very difficult to differentiate between a thing like a pencil. But, you realize that children will pick up maybe a Barbie pencil, for example, if they are girls. The reason being, you just relate to the brand. So let's say you may pick up a Champak pencil and say that, I relate to the brand. A parent may pick up a Champak pencil and say, oh, if Champak is tied up with this brand must be good. So it's actually kind of an endorsement that we as a magazine or we as a character give to that brand. So when Sameerji said, no, when he went to a person and he said, I should pay you for putting your license, your character on my product, I think it's a payment both ways. You are giving credibility to the manufacturer and saying that, because you are being very careful when you are aligning with the manufacturer. You are saying that, does this manufacturer align with my values in that manner? And when you actually feel that, I think it's a win-win situation for both.
Yeah, very nice.
And one of the areas which Bradford really advises, what Sameerji has done is a very long channel to do that. Creating distribution and building the entire infrastructure, because there was no other way to do it. But we at Bradford understand that whenever you launch a program in licensing, always spend maximum time in finding the first partner who can do justice to you. I'll give you an example. We had rights for Marilyn Monroe. One single picture which Bradford did a license program with H&M. One single picture sold about 500,000 pieces. It was a black and white picture, just Marilyn Monroe on that, and 1 million pieces they sold. So H&M is such a powerful distribution, and they brought that product. It was a very, very wisely priced product, and single picture went to that. So whenever you actually come in a program, so a lot of people are doing mistakes, and they start doing these micro licensing, and they start doing these micro licensing. You can do micro licensing only when you have distribution built like Sameerji. He's a great example of building his own eco distribution. Rather, he can now be a platform for a lot of other licensees to ride Green Gold's capability to come through them and use their channel to distribution. But if you don't have that, then spend the first period in terms of finding a very strong one partner who can do justice and build those aspirations. Maybe say a H&M comes in and say, look, let me launch a Champak line. Like we did for Pepsi, one of the characters of this 7-Up has Fido as a character. We did this whole promotional line with for them because we manage Pepsi as a corporate trademark. So one single big program and wait for that program to get his full haul. And once that is done, then I think easy to really bring in smaller micro program. So I'll take one last question and before we end this, and this is very important and I would like to hear from both of you. You know, I remember one time, I mean, it's about 10, 12 years back, I had one of the clients came to me in Bombay and asked me that he wants to start his, this backpack stores. And I said, where are you getting these backpack? And he took me all the names, including Chota Bheem. And I said, are you a licensee to Chota Bheem? He says, no, I don't have a license, but I make it, everybody makes it. And he was the biggest player in that space. And the evening I said, where do you work out of? He says, my office is in Chembur. I said, I'll come to your place to see what you're doing. And I went there and I was shocked that he had almost all the brands and producing them. And he has volumes which were running in a very big way. So first I started educating him that what you're doing is actually a biggest mistake of your life. And I will now the first person to really make sure that you get all the notices today. And second choice is that I can work with you to regularize what you're doing. The poor guy didn't know. And he was doing all the counterfeit, and he actually later we got him the licenses, including from Chota Bheem and other players. And now he runs on all official. And then he used to call me and says, now I'm sending to a lot of other people I know who are doing counterfeit, and I will help you to send them notices so that my market share can grow. So it can be a lot of this. So my last question is about what is happening on this whole counterfeit structure which runs in India, where people just copy without giving you any royalties and use your name, and what kind of areas you've now deployed, and have you started seeing this change happening or still a big problem?
Shall I start first?
You have the licenses for Sameerji, so you can start.
Right. So piracy is a pain, and piracy is a crime, and piracy is something which is going to stay. It cannot be eradicated or wiped out. It's a continuous process. Now, how do you manage it? It's something like a diabetes. One has to manage it rather than cure it. So at Green Gold, we have again a process in place. We have a team in place. We have a legal team. We have a couple of agencies who conduct raids across various markets in India. So the way we approach is we have intelligence coming in from our licensees, because they are the best guys. They are the first touch points, and they come back to us that this guy is making a similar product which is pirated, and then we depute a team and we kind of get into a business with them in terms of buying from them and stuff like that, and establishing. And there's an agency who does all this. And once we have relevant information and proof, he's raided, and that raid, and he's imprisoned. He's put behind bars as a mandatory protocol, and that piece is then put on the local newspapers and elsewhere to scare people. So there has to be a scare. School bags, Delhi, the Sadar market used to be flooded with pirated bags all through, and it took us close to 2 years to kind of have a control. There were raids every now and then on some of the very big guys. And like what Gaurav did for the client he was talking about, many of them have then become licensed. We kind of follow that as well. So that's one way. Then the other way, which is much more faster, is keep a track on the online data available of pirated goods, who's selling. And then the first approach would be to approach the e-commerce site to block and say that this is piracy. So some of the e-commerce portals are very friendly on that. They want to see that there is no piracy happening on their portal, also on marketplace as well. And some are a little tricky. So then we go through the legal, send them notices and stuff like that. So it's a evil which is there, and it has to be fought out on a day-to-day basis. That's what we do here at Green Gold Bounty.
Absolutely, very well. And I think this needs a lot of focus, and especially now with digital, tracking can be much easier because a lot of people would then put it on Facebook. Any last comments from Richaji from your side, because we're running out of time? So any comments you would like to bring in, and anything, any thoughts you would like to share?
No, I actually am very hopeful for this whole business. I see that, there is with gadgets in every child's hand, and we can actually accept entertainment. There's a lot all of us offer, and how do we do it? How well we are doing it, and how well we understand our audience. It's all it's all a factor of that. In terms of piracy, there is with publishing, there's also piracy in the sense today you get PDFs of all magazines, on many channels. So as Sameerji said, you track it. You sometimes say it's free advertising, and sometimes obviously you want your reader to pay, you want your licensee to pay, because it is a lot. It's a very, people don't realize it's a very time-consuming, expensive process to actually take out something. So, unless and until we are not putting that money back into growing these brands, it's going to be a short-term thing. But as Sameerji also said, that it is to stay, you fight with it on a daily basis. And you see that even consumers are becoming intelligent. We have now so many of our websites which are behind the paywall, and people are paying the money. So I look at it as that in terms of publishing also, we have now 6 magazines of ours which are behind paywalls, and people are paying money because once the reader is paying money, the reader knows that as a publisher, we are only for the reader. So our first person the first person we want to actually serve is the reader. So when then it becomes more so in anything, whether it's licensing, whether it's what you pay for, you will keep getting better quality of that. So I think I'm very hopeful. I'm hopeful for the kind of positivity and the kind of aspirations that we can get for our Indian audiences and our Indian children with their Indian families. So I look forward for the next 10, 15 years or 20 years of this journey with you guys. And
of your brands and characters, I think, are living in India, and I think would continue to enrich kids and a lot of other things. I mean, I think you're wonderful companies, and I think keep doing great work. And thank you very much for coming on this. And this was a complete delight for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Vatsan. Bye-bye.